But the best part of my job is the cyber initiatives part, which is talking about the cyber education outreach and workforce development initiatives that we have in Northrop Grumman and why it's so important to us. How many of you know what Northrop Grumman does? Anybody? You? We build systems and solutions for national security. So we support the intelligence community, defense, state and local. We build B-2 aircraft. We used to build ships. We don't do that anymore. We build satellites. So we build all kinds of really big things that are of global security importance. So cyber is one of the 4 pillars in our corporation, and we know that there are just not enough students getting excited about science, technology, engineering, and math. So we believe it's our responsibility to help build that workforce and get all you guys excited about it so that you can help become that workforce of the future that's so critical. My background is my degree is in information systems from California State Polytechnic University, and I've done program management and IT kind of stuff for a long time. Way longer than I like to think. So let's talk about what happens in cyber. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what you can do in high school and in middle school, actually, if you're interested in cyber kind of stuff, and then some things to think about as you're contemplating going on for further education and things to contemplate in a career. So why in the world would you want a career in cybersecurity? You know, right now we know that there are 330,000 jobs in cyber. We need that many more cyber professionals next year than we have right now. So that is a booming area where we need a lot of talent. The interesting thing is that you guys know, I tell you, computers are everywhere, internet is in every part of your life. You guys in the digital natives kind of live on the internet. That's your community. That's how you connect with your friends. That's how you get your schoolwork assignments. If you miss school one day, I mean, everything comes to you through computers. So it's just, the more you know about it, the better. But what we do and what we need a lot more people of is protecting and defending the information. That could be personal information about you, like your medical record. You certainly wouldn't want all of the information about your last physical out there on the internet, so you want to protect personal information. Private industry information. Now, what would a company like Northrop Grumman want to protect? What do you think? Patents. We have a lot of those. How do we make money? Selling airplanes, selling satellites. So anything that is about what we do and how we do it, our engineering specifications, our intellectual property, those are the things we protect. So if you were Coca-Cola, what would you protect? The recipe. Exactly. If you're a pharmaceutical company and you sell prescription-type medications, what would you want to protect? The recipe. The drug formularies. Public infrastructure. Does everybody know what public infrastructure is? You hear a lot about critical infrastructure. Do you know what that is? Things like bridges, tunnels, nuclear power plants, water treatment facilities. Pretty important to protect those, right? Airports, air traffic control systems, switching centers for trains, and national security. That's protecting battle plans, capabilities, things like that, weapons systems. So there's a lot of information that has to get protected, right? And then you think about it. This is pretty critical to our nation's security, to our economic prosperity. We know it's a global economy. Banking is global. So it's important that we be able to get our goods and services out and sell them globally in a safe kind of an environment. Everything in the transactions is handled over the internet. A lot of current and future demand. I just mentioned the 330,000 jobs, more professionals we need next year. And it just continues to grow as we put more and more of our infrastructure and our control systems on the internet. So, one thing that's kind of interesting is we've been in network security business before it was called cyber for well over 30 years. And in that time, the profession has evolved. Yes, there were computers when I went to college, but there were no such things as personal computers. We all logged in through dumb terminals into one computer at Cal State University system. So things have changed. But as they've changed, we're just kind of seeing an evolution in the types of careers that you can have. I mean, no one would have thought about a few years ago being a digital forensics expert. Most people wouldn't have known what that was, although they have existed in the banking industry for a long time. But what's nice is you can approach the cyber profession from lots of different ways. I mean, a lot of students ask me, gosh, what should I major in college? And there's a whole list of different majors up there. You can approach it from the engineering aspects. There are wonderful programs in electrical and computer engineering at most major universities. George Mason University is building their the first in the nation, Bachelor of Science in cyber engineering program starting in the fall. So engineering is a way to go, especially if you're interested in hardware. Yeah, you could go information technology or information systems, which I did, which has a hands-on application to it. All the systems I built, I had to build for small businesses and design and implement. Could be that you're interested in going an information assurance route, and certainly there are wonderful degree programs all across Maryland with information security, information assurance, network security. So lots of different ways that the educational opportunities are evolving as they're trying to match the jobs. So first what happens is technology changes a little bit, the jobs change a little bit, people specialize, and then academics kind of catch up and start educating students in the skills that are needed to get the jobs that we need in industry so you can build the products and services of the future. So if going a formal education route doesn't sound like so much fun, you could also do a 2-year route. You could think about certifications, and I listed the most common ones there. A certified information systems security professional is probably the most comprehensive kind of a certification in this field. Certified ethical hacker is another certification, and we hire people, we encourage our employees, actually we require some of our employees to have those certifications. So a certified ethical hacker would get a job doing things like penetration testing or vulnerability analysis. And we do that for our customers. A lot of our customers say, I'm not so sure if my network is safe. Can you come in, tell me what the vulnerabilities are and what I need to do to patch up the holes and make it secure. So that's the kind of stuff they would do. But the careers continue to evolve, and actually there are different kinds of career opportunities with different levels of education. Now I'll be the first to tell you that I think everybody should pursue a 4-year degree because I think that's absolutely important. We need the kind of big picture, well-rounded thinkers. But there are also jobs that are open for people who are more skills-oriented, maybe more technician-oriented. And there are a lot of programs for that, and I'll show you some of those. So at Northrop Grumman, and certainly a lot of other people that are represented out here, there's a number of fine companies that have booths out here. We all kind of think the same about cyber professionals. We hire hundreds of cyber professionals every year, part of the 70,000 employees that we have. And what do we look for? And I'm telling you guys this, especially the high school and college ones, so that you can think about what you're doing now and if it will make you an attractive candidate for employment in the future. And it's not that far off. We hire high school students, by the way. So we all look for a nice, strong technical background. Because what we're looking for is students who have an analytical way of thinking and have a well-structured approach to problem solving. Because you know that the problems in cyber are pretty complex. So it's important to approach them a certain way. So a lot of the skills that you get through those technical degree programs I talked about will give you that strong foundation. So a foundation in science, technology, engineering, and math is good. Behavioral. You may not think this is so important, but I'll tell you that the job skills will only get you so far. All the adults in this room will tell you that there's a whole lot to being a well-rounded professional. It's very important. And these behavioral attributes are ones that we find in our most successful cybersecurity professionals. We want people who can communicate, so someday you can stand up here and talk to prospective students. And that is important because guess what? I don't know too many corporate executives or senior government officials that really understand cyber very well. So when you're going to them and you're saying, you know, we got hacked and our network went down and we found this virus and it, you know, infected all of our computers, you know, you have to be pretty articulate. You need to frame things in a way that people can understand. You also have to have good written communication skills because our cyber folks do things like write analyses and trouble tickets, and they help people in writing. We also write some major thought pieces and white papers. We wrote the China report about the advanced persistent threat from China, which was used in a number of congressional testimonies. So good writing skills are important. So good communication skills in general. So don't blow off your English classes. Those are very important. Okay? And take a public speaking class too. You got to be able to kind of think differently. I just told you that you got to think of in a structured, analytical way. But you have to be able to think outside the box. Think differently. Who would have guessed all the different ways a hacker can get into systems now? Look at how many vulnerabilities are logged, you know, in the internet that we know about. Look at how many different kinds of viruses and Trojan horses and just malware in general exists out there. So you need to be able to think differently, especially if you're in cyber defense, because guess what? If you're a defender, you have to be right every time. You got to be better than the attacker. Working in teams is really, really important because cyber problems are really complex, and it's going to take a diverse team who has different kinds of academic background, different experiences, maybe different places that they've had internships or jobs before to help solve those really complex problems. So working in teams, large and small, is really important. So your ability to collaborate. And now for the tough part, personal attributes. So I said that we hire cyber professionals to protect the most critical assets that an organization has. That's how they make their money. This is a position of trust. And if you want to be trusted in a cyber professional position, you need to have high integrity and ethics. So if you're thinking about being in a profession supporting, let's say, the Department of Defense or the intelligence community, you would more than likely have to get a security clearance. And they've recently changed the questionnaire for the security clearance, and it asks if you've ever knowingly downloaded or used software or music or tools or anything else for which you didn't have a license or rights to use. So that's not going to knock you out of the water forever. But just think about the fact that the decisions you're making now, every day, can impact your ability to pursue this as a career. I know you guys all hear all the time, don't put everything about yourself out there on Facebook, because once it's on the internet, it's always on the internet. Be careful about things like tagging photos, because then everybody and anyone knows who you are and where you are. So you don't want to give away your whole digital persona. You should go out to pipple.com sometime or Google yourself and see what kind of information is out there in public records about you. And if you don't like what's out there, then make sure you start cleaning it up and changing it. Because I will tell you that every employer I know now is looking at candidates' Facebook pages or what they have out there on social media about themselves to evaluate whether or not that's the kind of person they want in their company. And more universities are doing the same thing to decide if you're the kind of person they want on their campus. So be very careful and make good lifestyle choices, because it could impact you in the future. All right, stuff about what you can do in high school to prepare yourself. If you're thinking, how many of you are thinking that you want to be some kind of a cyber professional? Good number of you. Okay. So Cyber Patriot is probably the premier program to participate in if you're a high school student. It is now in its 6th year. And yesterday was the national finals competition for Cyber Patriot 6. It's an interesting program where students compete as teams, usually teams of 5 or 6 students. And you participate at your school, if you're homeschooled, that works. A Boys and Girls Club, Boy Scout, Girl Scout troop, anywhere where there's an accumulation of, half a dozen high school students. As long as you have an adult, cognizant adult who represents your team. So it teaches cyber defense. All the materials that you need to participate are provided for you when you register as a team. It follows, I'll show you the schedule, but it follows the school year. And that's why we're doing our national finals right now. This year we had 1,556 teams from around the world. It is a US-based program. We are moving it internationally. But the students who participated from Europe and the Pacific were from Department of Defense dependent schools. So they were US schools abroad. And it's actually kind of easy because you compete virtually from wherever you are. Unless you're really, really good, then you get to come to the national finals competition. So out of the 1,566 teams that registered and began with us in October of last year, the national finals included only 28 teams. Highly competitive. And every year we make it just a little tougher, and every year we add a little bit more to it. So this year we had a digital forensics challenge, as well as the cybersecurity defense competition. And we also had a Cisco networking challenge where you build a router. Following basic instructions and a schematic, it's a piece of cake. The beauty of the program, though, is not only are you learning cyber defense skills, you're also learning about teamwork and collaboration and communication and all those things that I told you were important for getting a job in this field. So that's what we love about the Cyber Patriot program. It really does a nice job for preparing you for internships. So we've hired over 70 interns the last 3 summers. We have requisitions open now to hire more Cyber Patriot interns. Our high school internship positions are all paid, but they're only open to students who participate in Cyber Patriot, because that's how much we believe in the value of that program in preparing you for a job. And these students are coming into our workforce working side by side with cyber professionals. Sometimes they're work teams with college students in cyber, and sometimes they're off on their own. We have one student who's now in his 3rd summer with us. He's graduating from high school. And he works in our corporate cybersecurity operations center right up here in National Business Park. And he writes analytical and virtualization tools for us that we use every single day in our CSOC. And somebody told me last week he wrote a whole new domain controller for all the networks in our corporation. So it's some pretty impressive talent at a very young age. So the other thing besides internships is tonight I get to give away, almost $60,000 in scholarship money. So I do that every year. All the students on the first, second, and third place teams get scholarship money that's held for them and then paid out to the school of their choice. It's really important to us that students who want to pursue cyber as a career have that opportunity to do so. And so we want to make it as easy as possible for students to break into this career field. I mean, 330,000 jobs is a lot of jobs. That's a whole boatload of professionals that just don't exist right now. And so we believe it's our responsibility to help build that talent pipeline. And by the way, the students who put Cyber Patriot on their college entrance applications get a pretty favorable look. It's just one more thing to put in your capabilities box that's going to set you aside, set you above and beyond the other students that you're competing against to get into school. So why do we do this? Because we think it's important, and we just would love to have a whole lot more high school students interested in STEM. We're falling behind as a nation in our leading edge capabilities in science, technology, engineering, math, and we need to get that back. But there aren't too many kids that are excited about going into a classroom and sitting there and listening to a physics instructor just throwing on about physics, right? You guys have to do hands-on stuff. You like to try it out, and that's exactly what this program does. You learn a little, try out a lot. The website up here, uscyberpatriot.org, will tell you a whole lot more. Out there at the Northrop Grumman booth, I have a few information packages, and we can send more to your schools if you want. This 6-minute video is really, really cool. In 6 minutes, it tells you all about Cyber Patriot. And I'm giving those away because I'm making a new one now. Here's what the timeline looks like, something happening all the time. And we are up against the National Finals competition now. We're opening registration for Cyber Patriot 7 next week. So it's back at that website. So busy time for us. How many of you have computer science clubs at your high schools? Okay. Networking clubs, things like that? Those clubs are a great way, and oftentimes the club is the one that's going to be registered as a Cyber Patriot team, and typically the teacher that does the after-school extracurricular activities in the networks or computer area is the one who would be registered as the coach for the team. So that's a great way to meet other students who like to do the things you like to do. And it was kind of funny, we mix up all the Cyber Patriot finalists one night for dinner. And so they aren't sitting with the members of their own team. And then I'm able easily to find a cyber subject matter expert to sit at each table. And so that students can talk to them and ask them about what it's like going to school, what it's like every day at work, and what they get to do. But the students are a little bit introverted, let's say, a little shy, some of them. But we find that by participating in this program, a lot more of them come out and, the best of them shines. And it's a great program for building their confidence. And they are with other kids that like doing what they like doing, so they feel pretty comfortable. So clubs and things like that are a neat thing. There's also some community kind of things, especially here in Maryland. You have amazing things through community outreach programs and things like that for getting involved with students who like doing cyber kind of stuff. There are more and more cyber summer camps, week-long camps. U.S. Cyber Challenge, I believe, has stopped their high school camps and is only offering them at universities now. But you'll find some universities with good, solid cyber programs that offer summer camps to high school students at the university campus. So University System of Maryland has some of those that you can check out. This summer, actually in May, we're going to be piloting our first cyber summer camp, Cyber Patriot Cyber Summer Camp. And it would be a week-long camp, 20 hours of instruction mixed with, guest speakers and tours and things like that. So that should be rolling out to our Cyber Patriot Centers of Excellence, which are in Los Angeles and San Antonio this summer. So coming to a summer near you. Lots of businesses, others offer camps. Check those out. There's also a lot of online camps, and they're going to be on specific skills. You know, like maybe digital forensics or analytics, things like that. And then high school internships, I mentioned those already. Lots of companies offer internships, not all at the middle, they're at the high school level. And for the middle school students, this was the first year that we expanded Cyber Patriot to include middle schools, and it was because we were doing the high school level. And as the students were coming into it, they were more and more skilled in cyber defense than they had been before. So we said, wow, what the heck, we were going to teach the middle school kids about staying safe online and all that kind of stuff, and they were totally bored with that. So we passed out virtual machine images, and they had never worked with virtual machines in the past. They loaded them in, oh, this is pretty cool. And so we had created images with, I think, 5 vulnerabilities that they needed to identify. We had a little competition, and they did great. And so we said, well, what the heck? So we just allowed middle schools to enroll in the national competition. So they were competing on the same images as the high school students. And 2 teams made it to national finals. And yesterday, we were kind of laughing, talking to the red team, because we have a live red team at Cyber Patriot Nationals. And they said, what's interesting is that one of the middle school teams was the only team that found one of the vulnerabilities that we put in the system. None of the high school teams had found it. So everybody looks at things differently. That's why you need a nice diverse team. Well, there's a lot of effort going into trying to kind of standardize on different kinds of curricula, so it's a lot less confusing about how you get an education in cyber. And I mentioned that there's so many different ways to do it in different majors and disciplines that you could follow. These are all good things to know. So there's National Centers of Academic Excellence. This is a combined effort between Department of Homeland Security and NSA, and they've built up kind of a standard curriculum and knowledge units or specific types of knowledge they think everybody should have. And they certify both 2-year programs and 4-year programs. So if you're thinking about what you're going to look at in college, I would encourage you to look at schools that have the CAE certification, because that's sort of like the good housekeeping seal of approval. You know that the curriculum they offer there meets certain requirements, and they're aligning those with the framework that comes out that's helping to better define the different types of jobs and positions in cyber. So lots of schools around the United States that have these certifications, so they're worth checking out, both at the 2-year and the 4-year level. This website, the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Careers and Studies, call it the NICS website, that's amazing. That has information about competitions, about curriculum, about camps. So it's really a nice portal. They're trying to kind of make it the cyber portal. And they grab information from all different kinds of places. So I would encourage you to check that website out. A lot of good information there. So what's kind of interesting is as we've gotten a little more formal in the academic arenas, there really is an emphasis on lining up what they teach you in college to match what we're looking for in industry and what the careers are like. So it's working really well, and people in the industry like us are happy to collaborate with universities and colleges so they can feel like they're better preparing you. Okay, now for the informal stuff. Competitions, again, camps and clubs, and then research. And those are the kids that won last year's competition. They got this great trophy. competitions. So you guys are all here, and right out there is the Collegiate Cyber Defense Competition. We'll talk a little bit about that. But there are lots and lots and lots of different kinds of competitions. So you may decide, I want to participate in a competition not to compete, but more to learn. And there are different ones, they're structured differently. So there's individual ones. You log in, you're competing as an individual. That's how things like US Cyber Challenge and Cyber Aces work. You could become the #3 student in Maryland for digital forensics. You're very focused, and you are an individual participating in the competition, competing against other individuals. So you're at home, you know, and your jammies working on your computer and you're competing. Then there are team competitions like the one we just talked about, Cyber Patriot, or the one you see out here, CCDC. Those really are, you know, giving you instructional materials. Then you also, you know, kind of supplement that. Do your own research on the internet, or maybe have subject matter experts come and give you some insights into things that you wouldn't learn from a book or from reading materials. It's their own personal experience. So a lot of those, you know, like Cyber Patriot and CCDC, they're all team-based. And I like the team-based ones because you learn things other than just cyber defense skills. Some I call a type of competition. It might be identifying vulnerabilities. Some of them do include offensive activities. You know, you have to be able to break into somebody else's network and kind of do nefarious things. I'm not a big fan of those because I'm not necessarily going to hire that kind of person that has honed their skills in attack. We're interested in the defense ones because it's a whole lot tougher to be a defender, and if you can protect a network, you're a whole lot stronger than somebody that can attack a network. So, but there are lots of different kinds. And then there are the capture the flag type. And usually, like DEF CON is probably the most famous. That's the one that happens every year in Las Vegas. And we always, we have a number of our employees that compete anonymously at DEF CON, and they train all year, and they've set up their own network, and they do that because that helps them develop and hone their skills in defense. So there's a lot of competitions, and you have to kind of buyer beware. So know what you're getting into before you start. So as with anything, it's kind of, we call it the wild, wild west of competitions. There's lots of them. Some of them more organized and structured than others. So now there's a new activity that's starting to evolve. National initiatives for cyber competitions, and the goal is, hey, is there a way we can kind of, not standardize them, but allow them to be what they are, but kind of categorize them so you know what you're getting into? And one goal that we have is for you to be able to compete from elementary school through professional career. So that what you're learning at one level, let's think about it maybe even like sports. So if you're really good and you play on a travel team, you know, then you move up and you go to high school and you're on your high school team, and then maybe you qualify for your college team. And what you learn progressively is more complex and helps prepare you to compete at the higher level. And so a lot of these cyber competitions, we're trying to build that way so that you have a continuum of learning and competition. So this is the Mid-Atlantic National Cyber Defense Competition. There are regions all over the US, and what we're probably going to do is line up our Cyber Patriot competition in much the same way. So you could be a regional champion and then move into CCDC in that same region. The bottom one, National Cyber League, this is very cool. 24/7 virtualization environment where I think of pickup games, like pickup games for basketball. You can hop into the National Cyber League, register and compete. They have sort of like player cards with your stats, which competitions you entered, how you did. So that's pretty cool. That's an evolving concept coming out of California State Polytechnic University, but you can Google it and find out more about it. CCDC's been around for a long time. It's probably the best of the collegiate level competitions. If you guys are fascinated by what you see out here and you're thinking about going to continue on with your academics in cyber, you may want to look for a school that has a really good, solid CCDC team, because they've invested outside the classroom in honing their cyber skills. These are kids that get together every day after their classes are done, weekends, they just live in the computer lab. So it's pretty cool. So it's been around for a while. It tests not only your ability to defend a network, you know there's a red team live over there hacking in, right? And also building up hardware. These are the schools that won the 2013 competition. Of course, the national finals for 2014 happen next month in San Antonio, so we don't know who the winners are yet. But that's the first place team from Rochester Institute of Technology. If you look at these schools, oftentimes you're going to see some repeats. So my alma mater does pretty well at the Western region, but I'll tell you, those kids practice all the time. And they do. But anybody and everybody has a fair shot at this. You just have to practice a whole lot. Camps and clubs. Most universities, who are interested in this may have a digital forensics club, may have a, computer club, may have an information assurance club. A lot of times they're affiliated with professional associations, and they'll have a student chapter. It's really good to get involved in those kinds of activities, because that gives you an opportunity to network with professionals and learn more about what they do every day. So clubs are a really important part of the college experience, but especially in cyber, because you'll have a neat opportunity to work with students that are interested in things you are, and to learn a whole lot more. When I was in college, I was president of our Information Systems Student Association, and I was always networking, inviting guest speakers to come in and things like that. It was really a lot of fun, and it looked great on my resume. I had no shortage of job offers when I got out of college. So, that's an important part of that experience. Camps, there are camps at universities, college campuses that are a whole lot of fun. They're very specialized, but you can also do online camps. So it's a great way to just learn very specific skills. We do a lot of research. One thing you may want to think about as you're looking at colleges and universities is the difference between a hands-on, a polytechnic type, cross-multidisciplinary degree program, and a research program. These 4 universities are part of the Northrop Grumman Cyber Research Consortium. We fund research in the very, very difficult aspects in cyber. It's a whole lot easier to fund research than for us to hire a bunch of PhDs and graduate students and keep them around all the time. This also helps the students at these universities, especially at the graduate level, invest in research in very specific and focused areas. It gives them wonderful experience. But you may want to go to a university that emphasizes research in this area. You may be very interested in the underlying reasons for why things happen, as opposed to building hands-on networks. So just something to think about. But we find that Carnegie Mellon, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, University of Southern California, and Purdue University have just phenomenal programs. All right, another thing, find yourself a mentor. Doesn't have to be your teacher, could be a professional in the business, but when you're in college, it's good for you to start building your network of contacts and people. And so working with somebody or many people as becoming a protege to some professionals would be a good way for you to learn. Internships and co-ops in college are really important because, again, they help set you above, the rest of the crowd. And it's really an interesting thing to talk to professors, academic advisors, go to your career center on campus. They can all give you a lot of information to help you kind of decide through your career. A program called Scholarship for Service, Cyber Corps. And this is a program where you get funds to help you pay for your college education in turn for the commitment to work for the federal government. And a lot of those opportunities are with the Department of Homeland Security. And they have a booth out there. So if this sounds interesting to you, you may want to do something like that. This is especially good for students who are interested in going to college but maybe don't have the financial means to do that. But the neat thing about cyber is it doesn't matter if you want to go into aerospace or defense, or you want to go into transportation or global banking or healthcare or Coca-Cola, retail. Look at what happened to Target, right? Obviously they need to hire more cyber professionals. Credit card processing corporations are hacked all the time. So you could be in any business sector that you want to be in. You can live anywhere you want to live. It's an amazing profession. But again, position of trust. Some business sectors are going to require security clearances, but every one of them will require some kind of a background check on you. When I think about the cyber jobs, I kind of lump them into two big categories. This is probably grossly oversimplifying life, but I think of them in terms of people who develop cyber solutions. So these would be like your system architects and engineers who are actually designing a system with security in mind from day one. So it's how you architect the system, how you build the controls in, how you develop the software so that it's secure. Cannot be reverse engineered. Okay, so those are the ones designing systems. On the operations side, these are the people that we count on in our operations center to be watching those 6 billion bits of traffic going by every day to make sure that nothing bad is coming through. Looking at the information, the ones that are doing inspection, deep packet inspection, doing forensics. Our forensics team is doing internal investigations all the time. And so that's a really fascinating field. And the global winner of the Forensics Challenge, DC3 Forensics Challenge, is an employee of ours and works in our corporate cyber ops center. But I told you about the NICS website, National Initiative for Cybersecurity Careers and Studies. I would really encourage you to go out there and take a look. I'll leave this slide up for a while. National Cyber Watch Center is here. Lots of information about, what part of this career might be something you'd be interested in based on what you like doing. Information about Cyber Patriot at uscyberpatriot.org. Our careers website. So there's an awful lot of information out there. And you guys are pretty smart. Everything on the internet isn't true just because it's on the internet. Must be true, I found it on the internet. But these are reputable sites where you can get some good factual information to help you kind of navigate your education and your career choices. I think the only other slide says, we really need a whole lot more people in science, technology, engineering, math. We need bright minds to pick up on these careers when the rest of us want to go off and retire. But it is a really, really exciting field. I got to tell you, you don't do the same thing 2 days in a row because you never know what's going to come into your network or try to come into your network. So it's, there's something for everyone. It's real different. Lots of opportunity from an academic standpoint. There are amazing 2-year community college programs here in Maryland and outstanding 4-year degree programs in Maryland and in Virginia and in the District of Columbia. So if you want to stay in this local area, as well as Pennsylvania and of course in California and Cal Poly. So lots of opportunity.